If people don't want to go to Manson, they can stay in France. But we all know what's really behind these unpleasant personal attacks is because this Home Secretary is the only one with the guts, the determination, the legal knowledge to reform our ridiculous human rights law and detain these people, which is the only way, and send them back, the only way that we're going to deal with this. And those who constantly make these personal attacks to somebody who has made just one mistake and apologise, to remember the old motto, understand and judge not. Has she the determination to amend our ridiculous laws?
Secretary.
My right honourable friend is absolutely right. We need to change the law. There are too many people here coming here and making spurious human rights claims, protracting the asylum application system. They know that they can put in appeal after appeal, they can challenge decisions, and they can spend a lot of time here in full knowledge of the fact that they are not genuine asylum seekers.
We need to change the definition of asylum. Many people who are in these centres and hotels are illegal migrants. Many of them have taken the chance. They're economic migrants who are taking a chance by crossing the English Channel. Can I ask the Home Secretary, if people come here illegally, why can't we just deport them?
Secretary.
Well, he raises an important point, and he's absolutely right. If you look at other European countries, they take a very different approach to the consideration and processing of asylum claims. The reality is once someone makes an asylum claim, we are duty-bound to consider it. What the Rwanda scheme does, and what's very good about that, is it means that the asylum claim will be considered.
Now then, we've got Albanian criminals leaving Albania, which is a safe country. The same criminals are then setting up shop in France. They're then leaving France, which is a safe country, and coming to the UK across the Channel. And then when they get this accommodation, we've got the opposition parties saying the accommodation is not good enough for them. Well, does the Home Secretary agree with me? If the accommodation is not good enough for them, they can get on a dinghy and go straight back to France.
Secretary.
Well, my honourable friend's right. The average cost per night is £150 per person per night in a hotel. By my standards, that's quite a nice hotel, I'm afraid. Therefore, I think any complaints that the accommodation isn't good enough is frankly absolutely indulgent and ungrateful.
Isn't the reason why Sweden and Germany don't countenance asylum seekers from Albania the fact that those countries don't have laws against modern slavery which are being abused and exploited by the Albanian gangs?
Well, as I said, Albania is a signatory to the European Convention Against Trafficking. That's the originating international convention which underlines our modern slavery laws. There is absolutely no reason in law why an Albanian national cannot claim modern slavery protection in Albania.
The people of Stoke-on-Trent North, Kidsgrove and Talk are appalled by the amount of illegal economic migrants coming across the English Channel. And again, Stoke-on-Trent, which currently houses over 800, is being asked to carry the burden with an attempt to try and place more in the North Stafford Hotel. Will my right honourable friend immediately stop this abuse of Stoke-on-Trent and instead put illegal economic migrants in places with open border and free movement supporters, such as the Shadow Immigration Minister?
Well, I was very grateful for the time that my honourable friend gave me with his Stoke colleagues to explain exactly the difficulty in Stoke. And what I have identified is that there is a disproportionate distribution of refugees throughout the country in hotels. We need to make it much more equivalent. We need to make it much more cost-effective. We need to make it fair.
Deputy Speaker, can I welcome my right honourable friend to her place and thank her for all the courageous efforts she's making in dealing with a very difficult problem that the opposition benches, their answer is let them all in. That is totally unacceptable. Can I ask my honourable friend, one solution surely would be to return these illegal refugees to countries from whence they came, if indeed it's possible, like, for example, Albania. With how many countries is she negotiating to do this, and has she succeeded in any of those negotiations?
Secretary.
Well, you're right. I mean, effectively, the Labour Party don't have any solutions for this problem, so they'd rather spend airtime on a distraction. That's what this is all about. But what I want to say to my honourable friend is that, yes, we are having some success with returning people more swiftly to Albania. It's early days, and I don't want to overplay it because it's still very, very difficult legally. But those agreements with those safe countries are absolutely vital to ensure that people who are coming from safe countries, not from persecution, not fleeing war, can be legitimately returned because they are not here for asylum.
Deputy Speaker, many in my constituency are worried about paying their heating bills. Many in my constituency are concerned about getting GP appointments, and many of my hotels are full up with illegal migrants. Does she appreciate the sense of unfairness that my constituents have, and when will legislation be coming forward to resolve this situation?
Great.
Yes, I do appreciate the seriousness of this issue, and it's been my #1 priority since September. It is unacceptable that we are spending £6 million a day on hotel accommodation for asylum seekers. It is unacceptable that we have 35,000 asylum seekers in hotels distributed around the country. We need to bring that to an end. We need a comprehensive plan of alternative sites. We need to speed up our processing of asylum. We need to remove people from the UK more quickly, and ultimately we need to change our law, and we'll be introducing legislation later this year to ensure that there is no longer any abuse of our laws.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We have heard yet again today that members opposite want to prioritise the welfare of illegal immigrants. My priority, and I believe the priority of the people on this side of the House, should be to those of our constituents who are desperate for social housing, those constituents who are sofa surfing, many of them women and children. Is it an outrage, Home Secretary, that we are spending £2.5 billion a year when we'll be soon asking these very same people to share the burden of further cuts to public services?
Well, my honourable friend raises a really important point. The facts of the matter are we are receiving an unprecedented amount of people coming into this country, many of whom are coming illegally. They require accommodation. That is putting excess pressure on our current housing stock, whether that's hotels or the private rented market or other beds in other sorts of buildings. Ultimately, we don't have enough space for these people, and we need to find it quickly. It's very difficult. It will be done, but it will take time.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I make no apology for prioritising the welfare of my constituents who sent me here. I do not wake up in the day worrying about welfare of people who have illegally entered our country and so in scant regard for our laws. So these reasons why I'm so concerned about the North Hotel. Will the Home Secretary agree with me, though, that it is bad? We shouldn't have illegal immigrants in hotels, but ultimately this will not be nipped in the bud unless we get fully behind Miranda and look at the definition of a refugee, because we know so many people who get refugee status are not refugees, they are economic migrants and they should be sent back.
Well, I think my honourable friend is right. We need to call out the misrepresentation of this problem. It is not the case that these are all refugees fleeing persecution, war-torn countries or conflict or human rights violations. Many of the people here are arriving here on small boats, are actively and willingly procuring those journeys. They are often paying tens of thousands of pounds for those journeys.
Clark Smith.
Speaker, does my right honourable friend agree with me that those who campaign to take foreign criminals off flights, those who obstruct us from implementing our Rwanda scheme, and those who continue to encourage the shameful behaviour of so-called charities and activist lawyers have done nothing but contribute to this criminal activity and a system now bursting at the seams?
Well, my honourable friend again raises a really important point. Again, what we've seen, and I speak to our heroic border force officials on a regular basis, and they tell me about their first-hand experience. And what they have seen is repeated and vexatious claims. They see people arriving, they're not making a claim, and then they might see a lawyer, and then they suddenly come up with a claim after they've seen their lawyer. They make repeated and late claims as well because they know that that's how to game the system. I think there are real concerns about the practice of some lawyers, not all lawyers, but some lawyers, and I encourage the authorities to take action.